The topic for today is cataract. Hi, I am Dr. Priyanka Tumma, Assistant Professor, Dr. VM Government Medical College, Solapur. Before going on to the cataract, we should learn the basics of the lens. That is, we'll start with the anatomy of the lens. As a lens is a biconvex structure with a prolate shape and it's transparent, it doesn't have any nerve supply, and it's also a non-vascular structure. Here you can see the anterior surface of the lens is less convex than the posterior surface of the lens. So, the radius of the curvature of the anterior surface is about 10 millimeters and the radius of the curvature of the posterior surface is about 6 millimeters. The thickness of the lens is measured from the anterior pole to the posterior pole. Anterior pole is the center of the anterior surface of the lens and posterior pole is the center of the posterior surface of the lens. The thickness varies according to the age. At birth, it's about 3.5 millimeters, and as the age increases, it increases by 0.02 millimeters each year throughout the life, and till the old age, it reaches about 6 millimeters. The equator is the center point of the where the anterior surface and the posterior surface both meet. Okay. So, the equatorial diameter or the lens diameter is generally from nasal to the temporal dimensions. That is, it is 6.5 mm at birth and which increases to 9 millimeters in second decade and remains constant throughout the life. The equator is encircled by the ciliary processes of the ciliary body and held in place by the zonules which are laterally present. The distance between the lens equator and the ciliary processes is about 0.5 millimeters. The lens equator has a serrated or ridged appearance which is caused by the zonular fibers, and this serration or the ridges disappears during accommodation due to relaxation of the zonular fibers. The lens is situated behind the iris and in front of the vitreous. The lens is placed in a patellar fossa. And the posterior surface of the lens capsule is in contact with the vitreous and is attached to it in a circular fashion with a hyaloidocapsulaire, also called as Wegert's ligament. And there is a potential space in between the hyaloid face of the vitreous and the lens capsule, which is also known as Berger's space or a retrolental space. The total diopteric power of the human eye is approximately 58 diopters, out of which the refractive power of the crystalline lens is about 16 to 17 diopters. But in eye, the most of the refraction occurs at the level of the cornea. But the lens has a capacity to change its shape with the help of the ciliary muscle, by which it can change its diopteric power, allowing the distance and the near vision. However, this property changes with age. The lens has a refractive index of about 1.39 and it changes. The lens has a gradient refractive index as the index increases from anterior to the center and decreases towards the posterior, and the refractive index depends on the protein concentration within the lens fibers. Accommodative power of the eye is maximum at birth, that is 14 to 15 diopters, and as the age increases it decreases. At the age of 25 it is 7 to 8 diopters, and at the age of 50 years it's 1 to 2 diopters, which is known as a condition called presbyopia, where there is a decrease in the accommodation of the eye. What do you mean by accommodation? Accommodation means the eye has the capacity to adjust its focus from distant to near objects because of the ability of the lens to change a shape, and this phenomena is called as accommodation. The inherent elastic property of the lens allows it to become more or less spherical depending on the amount of tension of the zonular fibers or the lens capsule. The zonular tension is controlled by the action of the parasympathetic innervated ciliary muscle. When the ciliary muscles contract, there is relaxation of the zonular tension occurs. This, and then the lens assumes a more spherical shape, resulting in an increased diopteric power, which helps to bring near objects into focus. And the other phenomena which occurs is the ciliary muscles, when they relax, causes the zonular tension to increase. As a result, the lens flattens itself, and which helps in bringing the more distant object into view. Presbyopic condition is a condition which occurs at the age of 40 to 50 years. With increasing age and with continuing oppositional growth of the lens fibers and age related changes in the lens capsule, the elasticity of the lens decreases. Alongside this, the contractility of the ciliary muscles also diminishes due to structural changes in the muscles. As a result, the lens fails to change its shape sufficiently during accommodation. Now let us have a look at the structure of the lens. First comes the anterior capsule, in which the thickness of the anterior capsule varies, and it is most the lens is histologically composed of the three structures, that is the lens capsule, the lens epithelium, and the lens fibers. The lens capsule is a transparent covering that surrounds the entire lens. Histologically, it's a basement membrane secreted by the lens epithelium and the lens fibers. The capsule is produced anteriorly by the lens epithelium and posteriorly by the elongated fiber cells. It's a type 4 collagen fibers and sulfated glycosaminoglycans. Though it has no elastic tissue, it's a highly elastic in nature because of the lamellar or the fibrillar appearance of the fibers. This property of the lens gradually decreases with age. The capsule is thickest near the equator and thinnest at the posterior pole. The thickness of the anterior capsule increases with the age, and the thickness of the posterior capsule remains constant or changes slightly. So, during cataract surgery, due to the extreme thinness of the posterior capsule makes it more vulnerable for posterior capsular tear or rent during the surgery. The lens epithelium is a simple cuboidal epithelium and is found in the anterior surface of the lens. And these cells secrete the anterior lens capsule throughout the life. The simple cuboidal epithelium consists of epithelial cells in a single layer which have the same height, width and depth, which are also called as A cells. At the equator, the cells of the anterior epithelium becomes elongated and become columnar, that are also called as E cells. These elongated epithelial cells are transformed to the lens fibers at the equator. The band consists of the pre-equatorial and equatorial cells is called as germinative zone. Here the mitotic capacity of the cells are at maximum. The cells in the germinal zone divides constantly. The newly formed cells are forced into the transitional zones where they elongate and differentiate to form the fiber mass of the lens. As you can see, there is no posterior lens epithelium because the cells are used up in filling the central cavity of the lens vesicle. Now we will have a look at the zones of the lens. Approximately, nucleus occupies about 84% of the lens and the cortex occupies around 16%. The nucleus is further subdivided into embryonic, fetal, infantile and the adult nucleus. The primary lens fiber cells formed in the lens vesicle during embryogenesis form the embryonic nucleus, which is the innermost nucleus of the lens. And the embryonic nucleus is formed before birth. After that it forms the fetal nucleus, that is fetal nucleus represents 3 months to 3 till birth. The infantile nucleus represents birth to puberty and the adult nucleus is after puberty. The cortex consists of a recently formed fibers which lie outside the adult nucleus of the lens. The fibers of the cortex are loosely arranged, whereas the fibers of the nucleus are arranged in a more compact fashion, and the reason for which the nucleus is harder in consistency than the cortex. The epinucleus is formed by the zone between the fetal nucleus and the cortex. The lens is supported in place by the zonules of the lens, or also called as suspensory ligaments of the lens, which are a group of radially arranged thread-like fibers which help to hold the lens in position. The zonules of Zinn is named after Johann Gottfried Zinn, a German anatomist and a botanist. Most of the zonules arise from the posterior part of the pars plana, about 1.5 mm from ora serrata. These fibers run forward in the pars plana, blending into the basement membrane of the non-pigmented epithelium of pars plana. These fibers reach the posterior margin of the pars plicatum and turn into the zonular plexus. These zonular plexus run through the valley of the ciliary processes, and near the anterior margin of the pars plicatum, each zonular plexus convert into the zonular fork, which consists of 3 zonular fiber groups, that is anterior, equatorial and posterior. Pars orbicularis, the part of the zonules which lies over the pars plana. These are the zonular plexus. The zonular plexus are the part of the zonules that lies between the ciliary processes and the zonular fork, the point of angulation of the zonules which lie at the mid zone of the ciliary valleys, and out of which there is anterior zonular limb, anterior zonular limb passes from the pars plana to the pre-equatorial part of the lens, and the posterior zonular limb passes from the pars plicatum to the post-equatorial part of the lens, and the equatorial passes from the pars plicatum to the lens equator. The zonules are arranged in a bundle which are composed of 2 to 5 fine fibers. Each zonular fibers is composed of multiple filaments of fibrillin which are about 8 to 12 nanometer in diameter. The zonular fibers are rich in fibrillin which maps to chromosome 15q 21.1. Mutations in the fibrillar gene occurs in the Marfan syndrome, which causes weakening of the zonules and subsequent subluxation of the lens. These zonules blend within the basement membrane of the lens capsule, and this part of the lens capsule is known as zonular lamella, and it is rich in glycosaminoglycans than the rest of the capsule. Most of the zonules attach to the preequatorial and the post-equatorial region of the lens capsule, approximately 1.5 mm from the equator, and few attach to the equator. The pre-equatorial are relatively dense than the post-equatorial zonules. Depending on the attachments, the zonules are further divided into primary zonules, that is the zonules those attached to the lens, and there is secondary zonules, zonules that connect with the primary zonules with each other. And then there are tension zonules, or the fibers which anchor the primary zonules to the basement membrane of the valley of the ciliary processes. Let us see about the zonular spaces. First is a space called Canal of Hanover. This is a space between the pre-equatorial and the post-equatorial zonules, and there is also a Canal of Petite, and this is a space between the post-equatorial zonules and the hyaloid zonules. The transparency of the lens depends on many factors, that is, first it is the avascular nature of the lens, and second is the tightly packed nature of the lens fibers, and the arrangement of the lens proteins are typical, and there is a semi-permeable characteristic of the lens capsule. Pump mechanism of the lens fiber membranes that regulate the electrolyte and the water balance, maintaining relative dehydration and oxidation. And there is a high concentration of reduced glutathione and maintains the lens protein in a reduced state and enhances the integrity of the cell membrane pump. Biochemical composition of the lens. It has 65% water, protein is about 34%, and the other content are the lipid, carbohydrate, ascorbic acid, glutathione, amino acids and inorganic ions. The water content of the lens is maintained in dehydrated state by the active sodium pump within the cell membranes of the epithelium and the lens fiber. Protein content of the lens is higher than any other organ of the body. There are soluble proteins and insoluble proteins, out of which the soluble proteins are the crystallins and insoluble proteins are albuminoids. The young lens fibers contain more soluble protein than the older fibers. Let us see the percentage of distribution of soluble fibers, that is alpha crystallins is 31.7%, beta crystallins is 53.4% and gamma crystallins are 1.5%. Insoluble fraction of the albuminoids are 12.5%, and the other proteins are the mucoproteins which are about 0.8% and nucleoproteins which are about 0.07%. The soluble proteins are the structural proteins of the lens which are synthesized at the equator and the anterior surface of the lens by the anterior epithelium. The alpha crystallins have a higher molecular weight, that is, it is of the A chain it is 19,500 and of B chain is 22,500. Alpha crystallins is a polymer made of 50 monomers, and beta crystallins have a molecular weight of 5 into 10 raised to 4 to 10 into 10 raised to 4. Beta crystallins have a high thiol content and a disulfide linkage. The gamma crystallins are composed of monomers only. Gamma crystallins are high in the nucleus than the cortex, and they have 4 fractions which are immunologically identical except fraction 2. The insoluble proteins are the albuminoids which have a molecular weight of about 3,70,000. The amino acid composition is similar to alpha crystallin, and the most of the albuminoid is urea soluble and appears to be derived from alpha crystallin. The other proteins which are present in the lens are the glycoproteins, nucleoprotein, phosphoprotein and lipoprotein, and the lens proteins are organ specific. An individual can become sensitized to one's own lens. Let us see the composition of the amino acids. The lens contains all amino acids except tryptophan, cysteine, hydroxyproline, and the amino acids actively transported from the aqueous humor to the lens, and the amino acid concentration of the lens is not affected by aging. The carbohydrates which are present in the lens are the glucose and the fructose. The level of glucose in the lens is 1/10 of the aqueous, where the glucose concentration has been found to be about 100 milligram, and fructose is produced from glucose. The glycogen is stored principally in the nucleus, and the other carbohydrates are sorbitol and inositols are also present in the lens. Lipids are in the percentage of 2.5%, and main substances are the cholesterol and phospholipids, out of which 65% of the lenticular lipid is bound to protein. Feldman have demonstrated that in the cataract, the concentration of free lipids increases and the lipoprotein decreases. Let's see the glutathione percentage, and the glutathione present in the lens varies from 3.5 milligrams to 5.5 milligrams of the wet weight. Its amount alters with age. It is a tripeptide and consists of the 3 amino acids, that is glycine, cysteine and glutamic acid. Glutathione contributes to the redox system of the lens microenvironment, and more than 95% of the glutathione is in reduced state. Coming on to the metabolic activities of the lens, the glucose is metabolized in the lens, which supplies the ATP. The lens requires energy in the form of ATP for which various metabolic purposes, and 10 to 24% of the ATP is used in protein synthesis, and rest ATP used for the transport of ions, amino acids, maintenance of lens, dehydration and transparency. Most of the ATP used at the epithelial level because it is the most active layer of the lens. The 3 to 4 milligrams of glucose is utilized by the lens daily. Glucose deprivation in the lens can cause utilization of other sources, that is ATP, sorbitol, fructose, which then becomes hydrated and can cause loss of transparency of lens. So, the glucose metabolism occurs through anaerobic glycolysis, Krebs cycle, HMP shunt and sorbitol pathway. In the next chapter, we will discuss cataract depending on the basics of the lens as we have discussed. So, thank you very much for your patient listening.